All right, Miles, let's talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers here for a little bit. Look, we know that OTAs have kicked off. This is our first chance to see the rookies and the vets together on the field at the same time. We get a chance to see what the Pittsburgh Steelers of 2023 are going to look like. And there's one guy in particular that has really stood out and come out with a really strong impression.
Yeah, Nick, I think the Steelers have added a lot of really great talent on this team through the draft, but a key player this season may be what would be considered a veteran. I think the fans are going to love this story. But we talk about great players, we talk about this team, and there's a lot of talent on it. But the Steelers have had a lot of talent all throughout history, but some of them may have not quite cracked the Hall of Fame, Nick. And that's why we want to know today from Steelers fans, who is your Steeler that you think should be in the Hall of Fame but isn't or has not yet made it there? Let us know in the comments below. Who's the Steeler that is not in the Hall of Fame that you think should be there? I'm sure there's a lot of really great answers. Let us know in the comments below. And Nick, also make sure everyone joins us at the end of today's video to hear more from the partner of today's video, and that is Neuro. They have a lot of great products that give you a quick and easy boost of energy. We love to take their mints or gum right before the show. Keep us sharp, let us keep our minds focused on the task at hand. Let's get through all of this content. So make sure to stay tuned to the end of today's show to hear more about Neuro and their products and to get your hands on our discount code. That's the most important part. But Nick, nonetheless, what is the great news coming out of Steelers camp?
Yeah, so one of the things the Steelers have done over the past 2 or 3 years is that they've done a great job adding a lot of young talent, specifically on the offensive side of the ball. You can go down the list. You can go to Kenny Pickett, Najee Harris, tight end Freiermuth. We'll see how Washington, the young tight end they added this past draft, see how he shakes out. He has all the physical tools. You look at their offensive line, you look at Broderick Jones, adding him into the fold. They traded for Allen Robinson, not a young guy, a veteran, but a potential big-time player on this team as well. They've done a lot to surround this team with young, dynamic, explosive playmakers. But there's one guy in particular, and we talked about him last year, Miles, that we thought had a chance to have a huge impact for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that, of course, is Calvin Austin. This guy was a big play machine coming out of college. Unfortunately, his rookie season was cut short by some pretty severe injuries. There's great reports out of OTAs, Miles. If you want to throw this up, this is according to Steelers Now. I will read from it. Coming off a Liz Frank injury, I was interested. This is a reporter from Steelers Now saying this. I was interested to see how Steelers wide receiver Calvin Austin III looked right out the gate. I won't say he knocked your socks off or anything, but he looked healthy. There was no gimpiness in his breaks or cuts, and I think the fact that Austin can push off that foot as well as cut on any angle is a great sign for his participation throughout the entire offseason program. When he did run routes, is the most important thing. Austin looked sudden and shifty. That is not surprising, but there has not been anything just yet that has been revealed about his long speed. So I'll comment on that when I get a bit more clarification. For now, Austin looks healthy and quick. All right, so one of the things in OTAs, you are never going, these teams or these coaches and staff, they're never going to push their players to the extreme. So you're not going to see any team, any player run 40-yard verticals, heavy suicides, or anything like that. They're doing everything they can to avoid any kind of soft tissue injury. So that's why you're not seeing guys like Calvin Austin or anybody else do those big-time explosive plays yet, because they're trying to hold off on that until they get closer to the regular season just to avoid injuries. Now, I think this is a great sign if you look at this report for what the Pittsburgh Steelers could potentially be offensively, because I think this was the element they were banking on last season when they drafted Calvin Austin, a guy who has the ability to flip a field immediately, kind of be their Tyreek Hill. We see every team is looking for that kind of weapon. The Steelers felt they got one, and they felt like they were robbed a year of him with his injury. If he can come back and be as shifty and explosive as he was in college, and it sounds like he can be, I think the Steelers picked up a weapon that will be massive for them and have a huge impact right out the gate in 2023 season. Miles, give me your thoughts on Austin, the Steelers offense, and just everything with Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, Nick, when I hear this story, it kind of rings some bells in the back of my mind. It's a very similar story, and that's why I'm not worried about Calvin Austin. You think a couple of years ago, a speedy, shifty wide receiver coming out of Oklahoma, going to a rival of the Pittsburgh Steelers, talking about Marquise Hollywood Brown, also had a Liz Frank injury in his foot, came off that injury, came into the NFL, and he was just as advertised. He was still just as fast, just as shifty, and a big playmaker. I think the only detriment to his game would be the Ravens' poor ability to develop wide receivers. Luckily for the Steelers, they do not have that negative. They are excellent, in fact, at evaluating and developing wide receiver talent. So for Calvin Austin, he is right where he needs to be, Nick. I think he's going to be able to come back from this injury. I don't think there needs to be concerns about whether he's going to get his speed or shiftiness back. I think this is an injury that you can come back from and be successful in the NFL with. So I think Austin can come back from this injury. I think he'll be just as shifty. And I think the Pittsburgh Steelers are the ideal location for him to be. Plus, Nick, with all of the offseason additions and now this flushed out wide receiver room, there isn't a ton of pressure for Austin to come in and be a heavy day one contributor. He can come in and be, as you said, in those special play packages, come in bigger wide receiver sets when needed. He doesn't have to be the workhorse of this team. You got guys like George Pickens, Deontay Johnson, Robinson, as we mentioned, who can carry the load for the time being. But Austin can do what he does best, and that's be extremely fast and open up the top of the defenses. So I really love this situation for the Steelers. You don't love when a guy gets hurt, but you love when he gets hurt, he's getting better, and he comes back to a good situation. And I think the stage is set for Austin to make his return.
Yeah, and I just want to end on this. Austin, after this past season, multiple reports came out and said he was trying to do everything he can. He was really disappointed he missed the season. He was going to attack the offseason and work his butt off, put in extra conditioning to get back on the field as soon as possible. We hear players say that all the time. Everyone says that on social media or when they get interviewed that they're going to grind and put in the time, take care of their bodies so they're ready the first day of OTAs. A lot of times that doesn't happen. Let's give credit where credit is due with Calvin Austin III here. He clearly put in the time because he showed up, and you can look on it on Twitter, you can go to the Steelers website, all the film of him during OTAs. He looks fast. He looks explosive. He looks quick. He looks like a guy who's been preparing for this moment for months, and credit for him for putting in the time. And I think it'll pay dividends both for him and the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner in today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big time game winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro gum. Neuro gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.